Dear students, welcome to Tungal online classes. In the last class, we were discussing the evidences for evolution. Different types of evidences that we come across over here so as to prove that evolution has taken place on this earth. So that is very clear from all these evidences what we were discussing, right? The next evidence means in the last class we were discussing the morphological and anatomical evidences over there, different sources that we have, based on the branch of biology, that is morphology as well as anatomy, right? So after that one, now we shall start with the paleontological evidences, right? What is paleontological evidences? Let us see here. Paleontological evidences. So paleontology means what? It is the branch of biology which deals with the study of fossils, right? So it is called as paleontology. The branch of biology which deals with the study of fossils called as paleontology, right? So this is paleontology. Now we came to know it is nothing but the study of fossils. Fossils are the best. So examples are the proofs for knowing the evolution has taken place on this earth. Once again, I would like to remind what evolution is. This is nothing but the process of formation of new organisms or species from the pre-existing one slowly, gradually is called as evolution, right? So these fossils would show us the evolution which has taken place on this earth. It is very clear one. So that's why these fossils are said to be as written documents. What these are described as written documents, right? So these are also one kind of evidences, right? What fossils are? The question arises. What these fossils are? Fossils are nothing but they are the remnants, are the remains of the oldest plants as well as animals is called as fossils, right? Fossils are the remnants or remains of oldest plants and animal, right? So they are said to be as what? Fossils, right? Fossil is the word which came from the word fossilum, right? Fossil is the term came from fossilum, which means unearthed, or it is also said to be as dug out. So whatever the animals, whatever the plants that were dug out from the earth crust itself, in different layers of the earth crust. So if we are getting any part of the body of the animals which lived too past, right? So such kind of animal parts or the animals or the plants, they are said to be as the remains or the remnants of those old plants as well as animals. They are nothing but fossils. Fossil is the word which came from fossilum, which means unearthed or dug out itself, right? So now I hope you came to know what these fossils are. So the question arises, so what is this fossilization or fossilization? What it is? Fossilization is nothing but the process of formation of fossils. The process of formation of fossils called as what? Fossilization, right? fossilization, the process of formation of fossils is called as fossilization. Right? How this fossilization process that take place, where actually these fossils are available, right? Let us go through the same now, right? So the fossils are available in, so under the water of large lakes. So they may be lakes, or they may be rivers, oceans, etc. Under these oceans, rivers, lakes, so what are available? So there the fossils are available. Why they are available here only? Right? So is there any other sources where these fossils are made? Of course, other sources are also there in the oils. Right? So in the gums which are extracted or which are oozing out of the plants, big trees itself, right? So in those gums, small insects, fossils may be formed in the gums, oils which are formed in the trees itself, right? In such kind of cases also, we are able to get different types of fossils over there. If insect is sitting on the tree, so if insect is sitting on the tree, so the gum that oozes out, it uncovers that insect's body, then insect remain inside that gum itself, right? Right? So that way also, so these fossils are made even under the lava. When the lava erupts from the base of the earth, so it uncovers maximum biodiversity there, which remains under that lava, so that became what? Fossil itself. So like this, in lava, gums, oils, under the lakes, rivers, oceans also what are formed over here, different types of fossils are formed over here. So this is the point to be noted over here. Okay, so I hope you understood. So what are fossils? So what is paleontology, and so where this fossilization process so take place? All these are the things that you came to know very clearly, I hope. And even so they are available in sedimentary rocks, right? So they are available in the sedimentary rocks. How these sedimentation or sedimentary rocks are formed? Just see here, withering of the rocks take place which are there on the surface of the earth, and they have been washed out by the water sometimes during a rainy season or some other season, right? So that is washed into the oceans, rivers, lakes, etc. Right? So when these soil particles that collect, so one over the other, so in the rivers, in the oceans, in the seas, etc. So it makes different layers over here on the earth crust, and they are said to be as sedimentary layers. What they are said to be as sedimentary layers. See here, different layers that take place every year over here, right? So every year one sedimentary layer is formed over here. The innermost one is said to be as the oldest one, so in which there might be any animal or plant might be present. Why? Because see here in mass universes, so what happens during so fossilization is, so usually these trees, animals, so which are washed out along with the soil, dead animals, dead plants, so they have been washed out along the soil, and with the help of the water, under the sea water sometimes, so under the river water, and some of themselves undergo what? So degradation, and some of themselves, so they do not undergo any degradation process. They remain as if their body is, right, under the soil layer or sedimentary layer, right? So that moment, if any insect remained over here, right, if any insect that remained over here, so then it remains over there and it becomes the oldest one. Why? Because it is present in the innermost sedimentary layer, and so recent one, most recent one. If there are any animals, plants available in this sedimentary layer, then they are said as the most recent one. See here, so people or the scientists, they start to excavate all these layers itself. When they start to excavate these layers one by one, so millions of years ago, many number of animals, plants, they escaped from the degradation and they have been so preserved under the soil in different layers of the sedimentation, right? So they are said to be as what? Fossils. What they are said to be as? Fossils. So this is how the sedimentary layers are formed over here. These are the main sources in which the fossils are available in different time period of this entire universe itself, right? So I hope you have understood how fossilization that take place over here, right? So how the sedimentary rocks are the main sources that contain what? These paleontological evidences that are nothing but fossils, right? So now sedimentary rocks, how they are formed, everything we came to know, right? Apart from this one, so one best example I have to mention over here in in Germany for the first time. So one of the scientists, the one who excavated these sedimentary layers, that moment he was able to get one of the paleontological evidence, that is fossil of a small bird which is of the same size of today crab. Right, so today's crow-sized bird which was present, means which lived at the time of late Jurassic period, right? And its name you are so familiar with. Initially in my class I have given the example, that is Archaeopteryx, right? So the best example for this paleontological evidences is Archaeopteryx. The best example is Archaeopteryx. So this is the best example which has, or which is said to be as a connecting link or missing a link between two groups of animals. One is said to be as what? Reptiles, and second one is called as apes. There is a linkage between, or the connecting link between what? Apes and reptiles. This is the one best example for what? One best example for paleontological evidences that shows that some of the reptiles evolved themselves into birds. What happens over here? The origin of birds took place from the pre-existing ones, that is reptiles, we came to know, right? So this is the best example for what? The evolution which has taken place on this earth. Because of this evolution only, this most beautiful biodiversity is formed on this earth, right? I hope you have understood very clearly what happened on those days and how the fossils are the best example for, or the evidences for evolution. Right? So this is one thing. Apart from this one, we must know how long ago these fossils existed. Right? So what is the age of this fossil? So how to know this one? There is some technique is there. There are some techniques are there so as to know the age of these fossils, means in which period, which or how many million years ago these fossils or these fossil animals lived on this earth. So everything we come to know from these techniques itself, right? So they are said to be as a dating of rocks and fossils itself. So what is this dating of rocks and fossils, you may ask over here. This is nothing but so as to know the age of the rock and the fossils present in it. right? So dating of rocks and fossils is nothing but, so as to know, this is the technique of knowing, right? It is the technique of knowing the age of the rocks and the fossils within it, right? So this is it as dating of rocks and fossils. This is one technique, common technique it is, and under which many techniques are there. First technique is radiocarbon dating technique. Is the first technique which is used to know the age of these fossils itself, right? So this is one technique, right? So and second one is potassium argon, right? Potassium argon method is another method so as to know the age. So the age of the fossil itself, and this is the most convenient and the most accurate method of knowing the age of that fossil, right? So this is how fossils age is measured over here, right? So all these are the techniques regarding the age of the fossils. Now we came to know what are these paleontological evidences. How do they give the proof for what? The evidences for the fossilization. So the evidences for evolution which has taken place on this earth. I hope it is very clear to you now, right? So this is about paleontological evidences. There are different types of fossils are there, unaltered fossils, altered fossils, like this. There are coprolites, so different types of fossils are there. You need not to worry about that one. It is not mentioned in NCERT, so you need not to worry, right? So I hope it is very clear to you regarding the paleontological evidences. The next evidences are evidences from comparative embryological one, or simply you can say them as embryological evidences. What is embryology? We must have the knowledge of the process of formation of embryo, right? So the study of developmental stages of embryo itself is said to be as what? So embryology. So let us see embryology. The branch of biology which deals with the branch of biology which deals with the developmental stages of embryo. The study of the developmental stages of the embryo is called as embryology. This branch of biology is also giving many number of evidences for the evolution which has taken place over here, right? So evolution which has taken place over here on this earth. How this is the branch which is given different types of evidences. So we shall take the embryos of different groups of organisms. Okay. Yes, embryos of different groups of organisms. Let us go through. Say for example, which embryos I have taken? So that is of the fish, amphibians, right? Reptiles, apes, and mammals. So all these are different groups of vertebrates. So whenever you go through the embryological development of fish, amphibians, reptiles, eggs as well as mammals, most of the similarities that you will find. So in the embryo of all these groups of organisms, the common one, the most common one I am going to mention over here is the tail is present in all the embryos of all these different groups of vertebrates. So what it indicates? It indicates that all these are so formed from the common ancestor. All these different groups of organisms are evolved from a common ancestor. Point to be noted. This indicates that all different groups of vertebrates are formed from what? So all these groups are formed from same ancestor, right? Same ancestor. So this is also one of the embryological evidences, right? And one more point to be noted over here. So whenever you consider all these distantly related organisms, so that moment, so the life of all these organisms starts. Even life of many organisms like plants as well as animals, that starts with what? That always starts with a single diploid cell called as zygote. So zygote that starts the life of every organism on this earth. Maximum number of organisms, sexually reproducing organisms especially. So what it says, all these distantly related organisms are having the common ancestry. Having common ancestry means they are all formed from the common ancestor, right? So this is also one more fact. That is the best evidence for evolution which has occurred on this earth, right? So this is about the embryological evidences, right? So what is the next evidence? What is the next evidence over here is, so that is evidence is from other branches of biology like physiology and biochemistry. See here, so these are the two branches of biology also give some of the sources or some of the evidences for evolution which has taken place on this earth, right? So let us go through one by one. See here, so whenever you see one cell, see here, one cell is there, it has a nucleus is there. Inside the nucleus, the genetical material is present over here. That is in form of what? Chromatin network and a nucleolus. All these are the things that are present. So you might have learned about the protoplasm. What is that? Protoplasm or protoplast you may call. So this is living nature of the cell, it is said as. Alright. See here, the protoplasm is present in different cells, different groups of organisms having the same type of chemical components. So this protoplasm mainly consisting of what? Lipids in the bilayer, that is the lipid bilayer that makes the membrane in different groups of organisms. Is there any chemical changes in the formation of membrane in different groups of organisms whose cells is made up of the membrane which is made up of different chemicals? No, same chemicals the membrane is made up of in different groups of organisms, right? It contains lipids, it contains proteins, right? it contains some of the minerals, right? So it contains many of the minerals, or it may contain nucleic acids, right? Nucleic acids, amino acids, all these are chemically similar in different groups of organisms. So what does it suggest us? It suggests us that all these different groups of organisms are formed from a single ancestor. This is a single ancestor from which different groups of organisms are formed over here. So right, this is showing the best evidence for evolution. What shows? So the biochemistry, right? Is it clear? And one more point to be noted. When you consider the enzymes what are present in different groups of organisms, they are all similar and they are performing the same type of function in different groups of organisms. Say for example, so proteases that break down what? The proteins, right? Trypsin is there, right? So different types of enzymes what are present. So in the organism's body, they are performing the same kind of function, right? So that is why commonly we categorize these enzymes into different groups, right? So in PUC1, in biomolecules, we have studied different groups of enzymes. They are the most common type of enzymes which are commonly present in different groups of organisms. What it suggests, we are all made from, means different groups of organisms, they are all made from a single ancestor. So means evolution has taken place upon this earth, very clearly it mentions. Clear? Enzymes. Even hormones, whenever you consider, even hormones. So any hormone you may take, so whatever the hormones that we have studied in the chemical coordination and integration chapter in PUC1, all those hormones you may consider over here, and they are doing the same job in different groups of organisms. What it suggests us? What it suggests us is, once again, evolution has taken place on this earth. So we are all, means different groups of organisms are made by a single ancestor, right? So hormones, you may take best examples, many number of examples. So that is thyroid hormones, pituitary hormones, or insulin you may take. So as you have studied, insulin is extracted from the, so what, cattle itself, or sometimes a pig, right? So from which insulin is, so was collected and it was introduced into the body of those persons, the one who are suffering from diabetes mellitus. So this is the history you might know. What it suggests us, the insulin which is doing the same job in case of pigs as well as cattle, it is doing the same job in human being also, right? So this is showing evolution which has taken place over here. Hormones are also best example over here, right? All these biochemicals are showing what evolution has taken place on this earth only. Apart from this one, physiology. So whenever you consider physiology, many physiological aspects we can consider: digestion, respiration, expiration. So different physiological aspects, whenever you consider, that moment they are all commonly taking place in different groups of organisms, right? So say for example, physiology, in the sense that physiology, digestion is there, respiration is there, the excretion is there, right? All these are the functions which are done in the same way in different groups of organisms. Slight differences might be there based on the adaptations, right? So what kind of adaptation, what kind of habitat they have been adapted, based on that one, slight differences may be there. That is why they have become independent species, you know. That shows that what evolution has taken place on this earth, right? This way evidences from physiology as well as biochemistry also proves evolution has taken place on this earth. These are all the best evidences for evolution. So embryological evidences, physiological biochemistry evidences, paleontological evidences, morphology as well as anatomical evidences. All these are the different evidences that we come across over here, which proved totally so the evolution has taken place on this earth. I hope all these points are very clear to you, right? Am I right? So okay, here I am going to conclude the class. So and in the next class we shall continue with the next evidences for this evolution. Thank you very much.